The girl was clearly the real princess, yet she was abandoned in an orphanage since childhood and suffered endlessly. Meanwhile, her biological father and brother treated the adopted, fake princess as their most precious treasure. They even called the girl an imposter, saying their only darling was the fake princess. Seeing how heartless they were, the girl fell into despair. She eventually died a tragic death in endless loneliness. In the orphanage, the little girl studied her own reflection. After a long moment, she finally confirmed that she had indeed traveled to another world, reincarnated as Lina, the real princess with the most tragic ending in the entire book. Thinking about being beaten by the director as a child, scolded by her father and brother as an adult, and her final, miserable fate, Lina grew extremely worried. She absolutely could not just sit back and wait for death. Just then, another little girl suddenly appeared and ordered Lina to go to the kitchen and cook. This child's name was Trin, and she was the orphanage director's lackey. She usually loved to bully Lina, and just as expected, she deliberately tripped Lina as she walked toward the kitchen. But unlike before, this time she actually caught her, which made Lina very surprised. Instinctively, she reached behind her back, afraid Trin had pulled some prank. But Trin grabbed her hand and pulled her straight toward the kitchen. Lina made an excuse to send Trin away. She quickly checked her body. In her pocket, she found something, the director's ring. Trin was really trying to frame her. If the director saw the ring on her, she would surely be beaten to death. An idea sparked in Lina's mind. She also waited for a moment when Trin wasn't paying attention and tripped her, then pretended to be concerned and rushed over to ask what was wrong. Commotion attracted the director. Seeing the director's grim expression, Trin quickly claimed it was all Lina's fault, that she had deliberately tripped her. Lina instantly put on a pitiful, wronged expression, saying, "It was clearly your own carelessness. How can you blame me?" The onlooking children, who were also often bullied by Trin, all started speaking up for Lina. Seeing the situation turning against her, Trin scrambled over to the director. She said she saw Lina steal the director's ring and hide it in her own pocket. Hearing this, the director immediately flew into a rage. She lunged forward to strangle her, but Lina was faster. She ripped off her own coat and turned out all the pockets to prove she hadn't stolen the ring. The other children also vouched for Lina, saying she had been on the first floor the whole time and had never gone to the director's room. But Trin insisted that she saw Lina steal it. Lina stared intently at Trin. "But you're the only one who went to the director's room today, right?" Hearing this, the director walked toward Trin. And sure enough, she found the ring on her. The scene instantly fell silent. Trin finally realized what had happened. Lina had deliberately tripped her to frame her. She frantically explained that she didn't do it, that Lina had set her up. But the director slapped her to the ground. "I give you food and shelter, and you still dare to steal from me." With that, she started dragging her away to be punished. Trin struggled desperately. She kept muttering, "Not today. I can't miss this hard-won opportunity." Only then did Lina notice that her clothes and her behavior were very different today. Lina suddenly remembered. Could it be that today was the day Grand Duke Ballot was coming to the orphanage to adopt a child? The Ballot family, because of their special abilities, had always been called a cursed family by outsiders. To clear their bad name, they would sometimes adopt children from the orphanage. Lina realized that if she wanted to change her tragic future, she needed the Grand Duke's help. In order to be the first to meet the Grand Duke, Lina deliberately swept the floor at the orphanage entrance. After a long wait, the sound of a carriage finally came from outside. Lina got ready. She pushed open the orphanage doors and saw two men in magnificent clothes standing at the entrance. The man with the cold expression was Grand Duke Ballot, and the slightly younger boy next to him must be the Grand Duke's son. Seeing them, Lina smiled. "Big brother, you're so handsome, model." Her cute and obedient appearance instantly won the boy's affection. The boy's name was Wendy. Lina remembered he was a supporting male character in the original novel who gradually became corrupt after failing to win the love of the fake princess, Ella. In the end, he became the villain. Lina took the initiative to take his hand and lead them to the director. This slightly stunned the Grand Duke. Other children would burst into tears from fear of the curse the moment they saw them. This little girl really was different. Lina led them to the director. Grand Duke explained the purpose of his visit. The director hurried to choose a suitable child for the Grand Duke, but unexpectedly, he stopped her. He looked at the little girl in his arms. "That won't be necessary. We'll take this child." The little girl was taken aback. They had only just met. The Grand Duke had already chosen her so firmly, taking her away from the nightmarish orphanage. In order not to disappoint the Grand Duke's kindness, Lina said that she would be sure to work hard. But the Grand Duke told her to just relax and enjoy life, and that he would publicly announce her adoption in the newspapers. Wendy also smiled and teased, "You're so skinny. You need to eat more good food to build yourself up." Just then, the carriage suddenly jolted violently. Lina lost her balance and was about to fall. Fortunately, the Grand Duke protected her in time. His concerned gaze left Lina stunned. This was the first time she had ever been cherished like this. It turned out that a carriage had suddenly shot out from the nearby intersection and sped past. Lina looked out the window and saw a man with tears streaming down his face sitting in that carriage. When they returned to the ducal manor, Lina saw the servants lined up in rows to welcome them. She immediately felt so much pressure. Suddenly, a flash of white light appeared before her eyes. Lina was so scared she quickly hid in the Grand Duke's arms. Thankfully, it was just a camera. But unexpectedly, the photographer was so scared he dropped to his knees, kowtowing and begging for mercy. Lina found this very strange. Commoners meeting nobles shouldn't be this scared, right? Could it be because of the Grand Duke's family curse? The Grand Duke waved his hand, dismissing the photographer, and carried Lina into the residence. The butler, Ed, and the head maid, Lucy, came forward to welcome them. Lina curtsied and greeted them. She could feel everyone's friendliness, but she told herself not to get lost in it. After all, the Grand Duke was only adopting her temporarily. She had to seize this opportunity to change her current situation. Just then, another boy appeared. This was the Grand Duke's younger son, Dale. Lina formally introduced herself to the father and two sons. My name is Lina. I'm 6 years old. Thank you for taking me in. Dale was around the same age as Lina and quickly warmed up to her. This came as a bit of a surprise to Lina. This family wasn't as terrifying as the rumors outside claimed. Maybe it was because they didn't interact with outsiders much, which is why they were especially excited to see her. Just then, Dale asked Lina what her nickname was, but Lina didn't have one. The Grand Duke made one up for her on the spot. How about we call you Shushu? It sounds as soft and fluffy as a cream puff. So, I'm like a piece of bread? Soon, it was time for dinner. Wendy picked Lina up to go to the dining room. Dale whined that he wanted to carry her too, but his older brother told him he couldn't right now. He was too weak and would end up hurting Lina. He had to wait until he could swing a sword 1,000 times in a row. Dale was eager to try. I'll definitely work really hard. The two brothers placed Lina in her seat with such meticulous and considerate care. It was as if they were truly her own siblings. She had a father and brothers who loved her, a stable life, and no longer had to fear for her life. The truth was, she was a princess abandoned by the royal family. A single misstep could cost her her life. Lina couldn't help but sigh, if only you were my real family. Hey, from now on, just call me Brother Wendy. And I'll allow you to call me Brother Dale, too. Finally, it was time to eat. The girl was stunned by the magnificent food before her. It was the first time she had ever seen so much delicious food. Wendy picked up a cream puff and handed it to Lina. Lina took a huge bite, and as she ate, she lamented how pitiful her life had been before. To think she had missed out on so many delicacies. From now on, she vowed to eat them every single day. She began stuffing all sorts of delicious foods into her mouth. But as she ate, Lina suddenly felt a sharp pain in her stomach. She couldn't stop herself from vomiting as everyone watched on in panic. Her vision went black, and she fainted. She had just had the first taste of a good life, only to be struck by unbearable abdominal pain and non-stop vomiting, even passing out completely. Lina found herself in an unfamiliar place. Blinding sunlight shone down on an endless field of golden wheat. From somewhere deep inside, a voice was guiding her. Only you can awaken me. Lina looked at the sleeping woman before her and was stunned to realize it was an older version of herself. Lina realized this was the elven mirror from the original novel, the very place that would imprison her until her death. Lina slowly came to, finding herself lying in bed. The entire ducal household was looking at her with concern. After an examination, the doctor confirmed that because Lina had been in a state of malnutrition for so long, her digestive system was extremely weak. The sudden intake of rich, sugary foods was too much for her system to handle, causing the pain and vomiting. He said she would be fine after a period of proper care. The Grand Duke, Wendy, and Dell were all worried about Lina, but she found something strange. Why were they standing so far away from her? Wendy kept avoiding her gaze. Could it be, were they disgusted with her? It was then that Lina realized. She hadn't bathed since arriving at the ducal manor. On top of that, she had thrown up her food and had been unconscious for 2 days. The smell coming from her must have been atrocious. Lina subconsciously jumped out of bed. I'm sorry, I dirtied the sheets. Wendy quickly urged her not to make any sudden movements. The Grand Duke told the head maid to take Lina for a bath, whispering something to her in a low voice. His gaze was no longer as gentle as before. Instead, it seemed to be filled with some sort of apprehension. Under the head maid's attentive care, Lina washed away all the grime from her body. But she couldn't wash away the worries in her heart. The head maid asked Lina if, when she was with the Grand Duke and the young masters, she ever felt a sense of numbness or uncontrollable trembling. Lina didn't understand. In truth, this was the Barreau family's secret. Because of the immense power passed down through their lineage, it would make anyone who came into contact with them feel physically unwell. Over time, this led to rumors that the ducal family was cursed. The Grand Duke's grim expression was because he feared she had fainted from the torment of this curse. But Lina's heart was filled with guilt. His Grace, the Grand Duke, had been so kind to her. How she wished she could tell them not to worry about her. The head maid then led Lina to the dressing room. The entire room was filled with gorgeous dresses for her to choose from. Because they were short on time, these clothes were already made. We will soon arrange for a tailor to have some custom made for you. Lina's heart was enveloped in warmth. From the moment they first met, the Grand Duke had treated her with respect. asking for her opinion and paying attention to every detail. The Duke cherished her, and Wendy and Dell cared for her. The head maid was also very kind to her. Coming here from the orphanage felt like she had arrived in heaven. At the orphanage, everyone had despised her. She felt like a child unworthy of love. Sometimes, Lena even began to doubt herself, wondering if she really was that unbearable. She felt that the Duke and his sons were so similar to her. She was a true princess loved by no one, while the ducal family was shunned by the world because of their curse. The meeting between Lena and the Grand Duke's family was like two lonely embers huddling together for warmth. She didn't want them to avoid her out of fear of the curse's influence. Seeing the girl cry, the Grand Duke pulled her into his arms. "Please, don't avoid me. Don't hate me." The man, despite being the emperor, was constantly traveling all over the country, all to find the child he had been separated from for 6 years. When the imperial concubine told her that the empress had died during a difficult childbirth, the child couldn't be saved, and the emperor was devastated. Although he personally held a funeral for the child, he always had a feeling that his child was still alive, because the moment the child was born, he felt a powerful spiritual energy. So, clinging to a sliver of hope, he traveled from one orphanage to another across the country, desperate to find that child. Even Prince Lucas longed to be reunited with his younger brother. He painted beautiful pictures of a future together with him. "I'll teach him swordsmanship, carry him on my back when we play, and I'll prepare lots of gifts for his birthday." But as the pile of gifts grew larger and larger, Lucas's hope grew dimmer and dimmer. Where on earth could my little brother be? Besides Prince Lucas, the emperor also had a daughter, Ella, born to the empress. Since his marriage to the empress was a political one with no emotional foundation, he didn't love this daughter. Everyone advised him to stop searching for a child who was already dead. But he refused to stop. "I will never give up. I will find you." Lena threw herself into the Grand Duke's arms, sobbing, afraid they would abandon her. Comforted by the Grand Duke and her brothers, Lena gradually calmed down. The Grand Duke even brought her some hot soup and fed it to her himself. But, having no experience with children, he accidentally scalded Lena, making her yelp. Seeing the girl's sad little face, the Grand Duke couldn't help but sigh at how frail Lena's body still was. His own 2 sons ate everything and were so easy to raise. This strengthened his resolve to fatten Lena up. The Grand Duke promised Lena that if she ate well and got healthy, he would give her special treats that other children had never had before. One day, Wendy and Dell were playing with Lena in the garden. "Shushu, come over here." At Dell's call, Lena immediately scampered over to him. Dell secretly slipped her a pastry, telling her to keep it a secret from her other brother. Meanwhile, Wendy was writing something in a notebook. Ever since Lena fainted last time, he and the doctor had created a health plan for her. He was constantly recording Lena's daily activities. "Shushu, come to your brother." Hearing Wendy's call, Lena once again scampered over to him. She had already run back and forth like this countless times. "Shushu, come quick. Brother will teach you swordsmanship." When Dell called her again, Lena couldn't take it anymore. "It's really tiring when you both call me like this." "It's okay, brother will come to you." As Dell spoke, he brandished his sword and ran toward Lena. Seeing that something was wrong, Wendy quickly drew his own sword and blocked Dell's, scolding him for running around with a sword like that. "What if you had hurt our sister?" Dell finally realized how reckless he had been. He quickly apologized to Lena. His pitiful expression made Lena giggle. "Brother Dell is so cute." The Grand Duke watched the 3 children playing. As he listened to his attendance report on the orphanage, he learned that the children there never had enough to eat and were mostly malnourished. And their clothes are very thin. All the rooms are cold except for the director's office. It seemed the orphanage director had embezzled a lot of the donation money. Otherwise, the children's living conditions wouldn't be so terrible. Seeing the Grand Duke, who was known for his rationality, show such an angry expression, the attendants suddenly felt that Lena might truly become a member of this family. The Grand Duke ordered the attendant to bring Lena to him. He had some questions for her. The usually gentle Grand Duke suddenly asked the girl about the orphanage in a serious tone. This startled Lena. "He's not going to send me back to the orphanage now, is he? I've only been here for less than 2 weeks. Has the Grand Duke already grown tired of me?" Lena thought nervously, maybe I should try to please him right now. And beg him not to send me away. Seeing the girl's expression, worried to the point of tears, the Grand Duke realized she had misunderstood. He quickly explained that he wasn't sending her away. He just wanted to ask her about the orphanage. To soothe Lena's emotions, the Grand Duke handed her a plate. "Here's that delicious treat I promised you. Go on, try it." She thought it was just an ordinary cream puff, but its icy cold touch took Lena completely by surprise. "It's an ice cream puff. Someone used to love them very much." Seeing the sorrow in the Grand Duke's eyes, she guessed he must be thinking of the late Grand Duchess. The Grand Duke then asked Lena for some information about the orphanage director. Lena was secretly thrilled. She had to take this chance to get rid of the director who did nothing but bully the children. Outwardly, Lena said the director was a very kind person, but then she casually let it slip that the children never had enough to eat or warm clothes to wear, and that they had to work for more than 10 hours every day. Does she hit you? Of course. I was the most useless child in the orphanage, so I worked as hard as I could. I was hoping that one day I could go to a good home and work as a maid. Rage made the Grand Duke clench his fists. Lina reached out to stroke the Grand Duke's hand, but he grasped hers instead. He promised her that he would never let her suffer like that again. Lina's eyes stung, and she nearly burst into tears. The Grand Duke promised Lina that he would punish the director severely and make sure the children live lives with full bellies and warm clothes. A few days later, Dale and the headmaid took Lina out to have some fun. Since this was her first time outside, Lina was curious about everything she saw. Noticing that Lina was staring at a drink in a passerby's hand, Dale immediately ran off to buy one for her, before the headmaid even had a chance to stop him. All she could do was take Lina to the side to wait. But when she turned back around, the girl was gone. Meanwhile, in a small alley, Lina stared at the orphanage director in front of her and froze. Why was the director here? It was only when she saw the cloaked man behind her that Lina realized. The Empress's people had found her again. In the original story, the Empress had a secret organization from the Magic Tower. Ever since the Empress threw Lina into the orphanage, she would periodically send people to drain the spirit power from Lina's body. This was all because the Empress's daughter, Ella, had no spirit power of her own despite being royalty. For her daughter's sake, the Empress continuously drained Lina's spirit power for Ella to use. Thinking of the agony of having her power stripped away, Lina trembled all over. She wanted to run, but the man had already taken out the gem, the tool used to drain power. In the ensuing struggle, Lina shattered a potion bottle the man was carrying. This completely enraged him. How dare you resist me? Although the girl was a princess of the empire, she had been thrown into an orphanage by the Empress since she was a child, forced to suffer endlessly while her spirit power was drained for the fake princess's use. Even though Lina had already escaped the orphanage, the Empress's lackeys had still found her. Just as the spirit-draining gem was about to touch her, Lina screamed for help. Your Grace, please, save me. Who would have thought that in the next second, the Grand Duke would suddenly appear as if he descended from the heavens? He roared at the man, get your filthy hands away from her. Seeing the Grand Duke's entire family there, Lina couldn't believe her eyes. But the man wasn't panicked in the slightest. He activated his magic, intending to use Lina as a hostage to threaten the Grand Duke. What was she going to do? Lina frantically looked around and noticed the potion bottle she had just shattered. She didn't hesitate. She plunged a sharp shard of glass directly into the man's back. The protective shield around him vanished. The Grand Duke seized the opportunity and swung his sword. In the next instant, the man collapsed to the ground like a dead dog. Lina stared intently at the gem that had fallen to the floor. If she could just destroy that thing, the Empress would never be able to drain her spirit power again. But that one desperate strike had used up all her strength. Even the simple act of lifting her hand was incredibly difficult. She wanted to get the gem, but her body wouldn't move an inch. Just then, Wendy picked her up to carry her away. Lina grew anxious. No, brother, we have to destroy that gem. As soon as the words left her mouth, the man on the ground suddenly moved. Just as he was about to grab the gem, he was suddenly cut down by Dale's sword. Shoo, quick, look. Isn't your big brother handsome? But the man didn't give up. He rapidly chanted a spell, and a magic circle suddenly unfurled below him. The gemstone floated up into his hand, and his body began to turn transparent as he muttered. Just as he and the gemstone were about to disappear, a sword suddenly came down, shattering the gem and pinning the man's hand firmly to the ground. The powerful force shattered the man's heart, and he died coughing up blood. The killing intent in the Grand Duke's eyes was unmistakable. A pity, I didn't control my strength properly. Father, now that he's dead, we won't find out why he kidnapped Shushu. It doesn't matter, we have another one. Then, the Grand Duke threw his sword, slicing off the orphanage director's hair. The director dropped to her knees with a thud and began begging the Grand Duke for mercy. The Grand Duke stared at her as if she were a pile of garbage, his eyes completely devoid of warmth. You actually dared to harm a child under my protection. Watching the once arrogant and haughty director now kneeling and begging like a dog, Lina was overcome with a sense of grievance as she remembered all the bullying and torment she had endured. Wendy held the girl protectively. It's all right now. We'll never let anyone bully you again. The Grand Duke asked the director who the dead man was, but she didn't dare answer. She knew she'd be killed if she spoke. The Grand Duke gave a scornful laugh. Did you really think you could survive after doing something like this? He drew his sword, pointing it at the director. Wendy, Dale, both of you watch carefully. Even if your opponent is insignificant, you must pull them out by the roots to prevent any future trouble. Seeing that their father was about to act, Wendy and Dale rushed to stop him. Shushu is still here. A scene like this will frighten her. The Grand Duke put a hand to his forehead, annoyed with himself. It had been his oversight. He told Wendy to take Lina home first, but the director suddenly called out to her. Grasping at her like the last lifeline, she pleaded with Lina to save her. Please, I was wrong, I really was. But Lina only gave her a single glance before turning to ask the Grand Duke, are we getting a new orphanage director? Does this mean the children won't be hit and yelled at anymore? That they won't have to go hungry or be cold, and won't be forced to work every day? After receiving a yes from the Grand Duke, Lina smiled. Director, when I begged you for help before, you refused. Even just now, when I pleaded for your help, you paid no attention to me. It's too late to beg me now. Because of his own moment of carelessness, his little sister had been viciously kidnapped. Even though his father had rescued Lina himself, Dale still couldn't forgive himself. I couldn't protect you, it's all my fault. Lina quickly tried to comfort Dale. The bad guy snatched me away in an instant. How could that possibly be your fault? Besides, I believed that the Grand Duke and my brothers would come for me. Lina herself wasn't sure why she had been so certain. After all, she had been with this family for less than a month. It was truly thanks to the Grand Duke and his sons that she managed to escape this time. But the Imperial Consort certainly wouldn't let this matter rest. She had just been fortunate enough to be rescued this time. But what about the next time? What if the Imperial Consort wanted to destroy her and the entire ducal family? What was she supposed to do? The Imperial Consort was royalty, after all. Her maiden family was the most distinguished among the nobility, controlling the Empire's land and its vital grain supply. Although the Grand Duke's house was the most prominent family in the Empire, they had long stayed out of politics. As a result, their influence among the other nobles was relatively weak. If the Imperial Consort were to rally all the aristocrats against them, what would become of them? The Grand Duke and his family had treated her so well. Lina couldn't bear the thought of them being endangered because of her. Seeing that Lina was looking unwell, Wendy reached out to touch her forehead. Just as he suspected, she had a fever. Lina began to feel unwell, too. Her head was spinning. I wish I could have some water, she thought. The moment she had that thought, a sudden downpour of water fell from the sky, drenching Lina completely. The three of them were stunned by this sight. Soaked and chilled to the bone, Lina curled up and shivered violently. Wendy quickly gathered her into his arms to try and warm her up. As she continued to shiver, Lina thought, I wish there was a fire to get warm. The very next second, a roaring fire erupted around the two of them. We're on fire. Dell reacted in a flash, yanking the bedsheet and lunging towards the two of them. The flames vanished in an instant. Neither of them was hurt, but Lina felt her body growing increasingly strange. Everything went black, and she passed out. Late that night, Lina groggily opened her eyes. She could vaguely make out a blurry figure approaching her side. The person gently stroked her forehead. My contracted one, don't be in pain. The gentle tone of voice put Lina at ease. She closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep as various fragmented memories flashed through her dreams. Lina found them familiar, as if she had seen them somewhere before. The boy with the white hair gazed at the girl for a long, long time. As if he were looking at a priceless treasure. Because the seal hasn't been broken yet, I can only visit you like this. Don't worry, your current discomfort is because your spirit power is awakening. Get well soon. This time, I will make sure you get everything you've ever wished for. And live a happy life. The boy's figure gradually faded away. His tender voice echoed in her ears for a long time. You have to find me soon. I'll be waiting for you. First, the girl was mysteriously attacked. Then she was caught in a sudden fire, and finally, her strength gave out and she passed out. This sent Dell into a panic. He desperately shook the doctor, begging him to save Lina. Thankfully, Lina woke up just in time, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The moment Lina saw the Grand Duke, she asked, How is the headmistress? The Grand Duke paused and thought for a moment. She embezzled public funds, abused orphans, and even kidnapped you. I've already had her executed on the spot. This outcome was what Lina had expected. It was Yig, a mage from the Azure Magic Tower, here to investigate the reason for Lina's kidnapping. Hearing that the newcomer was a mage, Lina grew a little nervous. The Grand Duke reassured her, Don't worry. We're here with you, just tell us everything you know. The moment that man touched me with the gemstone, my whole body was in terrible pain. It felt like all my strength was being drained away. He used to do this to me all the time at the orphanage. Everyone present was furious after hearing this. Yig patiently explained to Lina, We first need to understand what this power inside you is. Only then can we prevent this from ever happening again. Lina hesitated. The power inside her was spirit power, something only the royal family possessed. If the Grand Duke finds out, he'll insist on sending me back to the palace, won't he? She thought of Princess Ella, the one who had taken everything from her. And of the father and brother who had abandoned her. Even if the Grand Duke did send her back, no one there would want to see her, would they? But looking at the Grand Duke's concerned eyes, Lina couldn't bear to hide it from him any longer. Besides, the truth would come out eventually anyway. I'll just have to trust his grace this once. Lina took Yig's hand. The moment Yig activated his magic, Lina felt a magical energy coursing through her entire body. Suddenly, Yig's eyes shot open. How can this be? As everyone questioned him with concern, Yig explained that he hadn't detected any magic within Lina. Instead, he sensed spirit power. But, isn't spirit power something only the royal family possesses? Could Lina be royalty? The Grand Duke suddenly recalled the queen and her child, who had died in childbirth 6 years ago. If that child had lived, she would be about Lina's age now. The Grand Duke dismissed Yig, ordering him to keep what happened today strictly confidential. The Grand Duke comforted the distraught girl. Lina, do you want to return to the palace? Do you want to return as a princess? Lina shook her head frantically. If I'm really a princess, then why was I in an orphanage? Why was I bullied all the time with no one to protect me? She grabbed the Grand Duke's arm and cried out desperately, I'm just a normal orphan. You don't want me anymore, do you? That's right, I don't need an orphan. Hearing this, Lina's heart plummeted to the depths of despair. But I do need a daughter. The Grand Duke gently wiped away Lina's tears. Then, he knelt on one knee. Looking into Lina's shocked eyes, he asked with the utmost solemnity, I will always protect you. Will you become my daughter? The child abandoned by the royal family was the most cherished treasure in the Grand Duke's eyes. The Grand Duke took out a necklace pendant. This is a treasure passed down through our family for generations to the girls. Will you be my daughter? Even if you don't want to, it's okay. I will still protect you. No matter what choice you make, I will respect your decision. How could Lina not want to join this loving family? She wanted so badly to say yes immediately. When she thought about how the Grand Duke's family might be put in danger because of her, Lina hesitated. Ever since her elven power awakened, Lina's physical condition had improved a lot. She no longer looked so frail, but she often found herself staring at the necklace in a daze. Not even noticing when Wendy and Dell had arrived. Lina, are you still thinking about whether to become part of our family? I'm definitely not trying to rush you. Father said it's all up to you to decide. But Dell couldn't sit still. He didn't understand why Lina was unwilling. I really want to live with all of you, but I'm afraid that if I stay here, I'll damage the Grand Duke's family reputation. To ease Lina's worries, Wendy and Dell took her to a special place. Looking at the newly renovated building, Lina almost didn't recognize her old orphanage. When the children saw Lina, they all gathered around her, marveling at how much she had changed. They said she was as beautiful as a princess and thanked her from the bottom of their hearts. Even after going to the Grand Duke's house to live a good life, you didn't forget your old friends. This left Lina utterly baffled. What are you guys talking about? It's all thanks to you for getting rid of the evil director. Now we have a kind new director, and we even have thick new clothes to wear in the winter. We don't have to worry about not having enough to eat or wear anymore. You must be so amazing, that's why the Grand Duke likes you so much, right? At that moment, Lina thought of T-Lin and asked where she had gone. The children said that after T-Lin was punished by the evil director, she got very sick. The evil director was afraid she would die there, so she sent her to another orphanage. Although Lina didn't like T-Lin, she still hoped T-Lin had gone to a good place where she wouldn't be beaten. Seeing that it was getting late, Lina said goodbye to her friends. She asked Wendy why he brought her here, but Wendy told her, through your own efforts, you gave these children a better life. A person as clever and lovely as you will shine no matter where you go. Why worry about something as trivial as reputation? When they returned home, the Grand Duke carried Lina to a mysterious room. This is the gallery that holds the history of the Barreau family. The portraits hanging on the walls are of the past family heads. The Grand Duke turned to look at Lina. Portraits of the family's children can also be hung up here, you know. Grand Duke pointed to a very old portrait and explained, this is our family's ancestor. Because our ancestor's true form was a dragon, her pupils were slender. Lina wondered, you mean the kind of dragon that looks like a lizard, has wings, can fly, and is really strong? Suddenly, a voice reached her ears. Lina looked towards the sound. She saw a purple-haired boy standing there quietly, his cool purple eyes staring at her. Who is he? Why'd I feel like I've seen him somewhere before? The sight of him, so suddenly, that familiar feeling left Lina stunned. Who is that? Lina tugged on the Grand Duke's sleeve, gesturing for him to look. But when she turned back, the person was gone. Lina thought she must have been hallucinating. In the center of the gallery, a small, exquisite crown was on display. The Grand Duke took it out directly and was about to place it on Lina's head. This looks so precious. What if I break it? It's all right. If it breaks, we'll just make another one. The Grand Duke told Lina that the Grand Duchy was originally a vassal state of the empire. As the leader of a nation, if Lina was willing to become his daughter, she would be a true princess. Moreover, all the family heirlooms passed down only to daughters would be given to her. The Grand Duke laid everything out before Lina, letting her choose for herself. Even if you don't want to, it's all right. I won't take any of these things back. This left Lina feeling completely overwhelmed. The kindness she had received in the Grand Duke's home these past few days was something she never would have dared to dream of before. She didn't know if she could ever repay the Grand Duke's kindness. Lina didn't want to let him down, but she was afraid of bringing danger to them. You don't understand my situation. If you adopt me, someone will come to harm you. Are you talking about the Empress? Yes. The Empress's daughter, Princess Ella, has no spiritual power. To cover it up, they sent people to steal my spiritual power for Ella to use. This was exactly what Lina was worried about. In the future, the Empress would surely send people to steal her power again. The Grand Duke's position would become dangerous because of her. What if the Empress sees you as an enemy? What if she attacks you or my brothers next time? There will be so much trouble in the future. Now that you know my situation, do you still want to adopt me? The Grand Ducal family isn't so weak that we can't protect one daughter. We have more than enough power to handle all of this, so you don't need to worry about a thing. The Grand Duke asked Lena if she was sure she didn't want to return to the palace to find her family. I don't want them. They're not my family. Whether it's the Emperor or the Crown Prince, they only love Princess Ella. To Lena, the palace was no different from hell. I don't have a family. I'm all alone. Then what about me? I want to be your family. My sons and I will protect you and cherish you. We won't let anyone hurt you. Become my daughter and live with us. Faced with the Grand Duke's repeated pleas, Lena could no longer control her emotions. She was finally willing to face her true feelings. I want to live happily with you all. I'll repay your kindness no matter what. So, will you be my dad? The Grand Duke pulled the crying girl into his arms, letting her release all the pain she had held in for so many years. The Grand Duke silently swore that he would give her all the love in the world to heal her wounded heart. Just then, Wendy and Dale rushed in. Hearing that Lena was willing to become their sister, the two brothers were ecstatic. We'll always protect you, so please, you have to protect our happiness, too. A lonely girl and a lonely family, in that very moment, became one. They embraced each other, healing one another's wounds, and vowed to be a family that would always be by each other's side. The abandoned little princess finally dared to face her own heart and decided to join the Grand Duke's warm family. Having finally gained a precious daughter, the Grand Duke immediately switched into dad mode and read Lena a bedtime story for the very first time. Shoo, which story do you want to hear? I like this one, Your Grace. The Grand Duke quickly corrected her. We're father and daughter now. What should you call me? The one with 2 letters. Lena mustered up her courage and sweetly called out, Dad. This greatly satisfied the old father's pride. Lena listened quietly as her father told the story. This was a moment she had always longed for. In the Grand Duke's gentle voice, she soon drifted off to sleep. Lena found herself in a vast, beautiful sea of flowers. She played to her heart's content, and even wanted to pick some flowers to bring back to her dad and brothers. Suddenly, an urgent voice echoed in her mind. Wake up. It'll be dangerous if you use any more of your power. Lena snapped awake. She was shocked to find her room was also filled with flowers, along with a strange man tangled up in vines. The man was carrying a knife and a large sack. A terrible feeling washed over Lena. Could he have been sent by the Empress to kill her? Terrified, Lena screamed. Meanwhile, in the distant imperial palace, the Crown Prince was also startled from his sleep. He suddenly felt a fluctuation of elven power. The sensation was so familiar. Could it be my brother? My brother really is alive. He immediately rushed to the Emperor's side to tell him the news. But the Emperor cut him off. To prevent any eavesdroppers, the Emperor used his elven power to create a barrier. The Crown Prince couldn't wait to tell him that his brother was still alive. It turned out the Emperor had felt it too. A fluctuation of the boy's elven power coming from the direction of the Grand Duke's domain. His child was truly alive. And that meant, everything the Empress had said before was a lie. She must have swapped the child before the funeral. The thought of someone tearing him away from his own flesh and blood filled the Emperor with uncontrollable rage. He would hunt down anyone and everyone involved in this. The father and son made a pact. They would bring that child back, no matter what. Hearing Lena's scream, the guards at the door rushed into the room, only to be stunned by the sight before them. What was going on with all these flowers and this person? The Grand Duke and his son also hurried over. To Lena's surprise, the last time she used her elven power, her head had been splitting with pain. But this time, she felt no discomfort at all. In fact, it felt invigorating. She explained to the Grand Duke that she had just been playing with vines in a field of flowers in her dream. And when she woke up, she found a strange man tied up here by those same vines. Dell looked at Lena with pure admiration. Shoo, you're so cool. Next time, could you dream of a world made entirely of chocolate cake? The Grand Duke, however, had a thoughtful expression. Lena noticed his reaction was unusual. Could my power be even stronger than I thought? The Grand Duke welcomed her as one of his own. Not only did he assign personal maids to attend to her, but he also hired a female knight named Roland to ensure her safety. To thank everyone for their kindness, Lena handmade medals to give to each of them. The head maid was moved to tears. Lena never expected that these small, insignificant things she made could bring everyone so much joy. Roland told Lena, "My lady, children are meant to be loved unconditionally. You deserve to be liked by everyone." Just then, the idle chatter of nearby maids caught Lena's attention. They were saying the Imperial City had issued a summons. It was a call for people with special abilities to come to the palace. Suddenly, Lena's feet left the ground as someone lifted her high into the air. It was Wendy. Seeing his sister, Dell happily ran over too. He immediately noticed the medal round the knight Roland's neck. "What's that thing you're wearing? It's so ugly." Roland, however, showed it off proudly. "The young lady made this for me. It says, 'The gentlest knight,' on it." As soon as he heard Lena made it, Del froze, instantly regretting his thoughtless words. Lena simply ignored him and placed the medal she'd made for Wendy around his neck. For my brother Wendy, you are my savior. Now Del was getting desperate. He shook Lena, frantically begging for forgiveness. Shoo, I was wrong. Please give me a medal too. Seeing him like this, Lena decided to tease him a little. Didn't you say they were ugly? I just happen to like ugly things. I always use the word ugly to mean beautiful. Lena couldn't help but laugh at him and took out a medal that read, World's Most Handsome Brother. This is for you, my ugliest brother in the world. Del cradled the medal as if it were a precious treasure. Lena arrived at her final stop for delivering medals, the Grand Duke's office. As soon as she entered, she was warmly welcomed by the maids in attendance. Lena noticed that her father seemed a little down. Lena carefully held out the medal to him. Father, this is for you. The Grand Duke sounded a little hurt. Why am I the last one? I thought I would be the first. Lena's heart melted seeing her father like this. I wrote, World's Best Dad, on it, along with many heartfelt words. Dad, please, you have to accept it. It's not often your daughter gets to be this affectionate. The Grand Duke put the medal on the very next second. Haha, he couldn't have been happier. Just then, he suddenly remembered something. He had already received a summons from the royal family. They had detected fluctuations in spirit power, so they were summoning everyone who had awakened their abilities to the palace immediately. But Lena didn't understand. Princess Ella had been draining her spirit power for so long. Why were the royals only looking for her now? Was it because she had changed the course of her own destiny? Seeing the grave expression on Lena's face, the Grand Duke thought she regretted being adopted by him. No, that's not it. I've never thought that. I'm just so angry. I've finally found happiness, so why are they suddenly trying to take me back? You and my two brothers are my only family. I'm begging you, please don't let me go back. Even if the Emperor himself comes for me, please don't send me away. The Grand Duke reassured Lena. As long as you don't want to go back, I will never send you away. To ensure his daughter received the very best, the Grand Duke posted a recruitment notice, seeking an outstanding tutor to instruct the young Grand Duchess. The Imperial consort saw the notice and seethed with anger. Her original plan was to have her father send men to capture that brat. But to her surprise, they failed. Now that the girl was under the Grand Duke's protection, getting her back would be difficult. The original plan was to drain her spirit power before she awakened it. Then, they would hide her away to be used as a sacrifice. She never imagined the Emperor would realize the child was still alive. But so what? She would strike first, before the Emperor could find this child. She would make the Grand Duke regret ever adopting this child. The Grand Duke found a tutor for Lena, Professor Lima from the Royal Academy. Full of anticipation, Lena greeted her with a curtsy, only to be met with the teacher's merciless scorn. Just as I thought, a commoner who has never been taught proper etiquette. A graceful smile is the mark of a noble lady's refinement. Laughing with your mouth open looks so vulgar. Then again, you're just a commoner orphan. It's no wonder no one ever taught you how to laugh properly. Lena never expected the teacher to have such an attitude. Why was she looking at her as if she were some pathetic insect? Lena felt deeply uncomfortable. Is my behavior really that of a commoner orphan? What kind of behavior is considered noble? Lena asked timidly. Do I have to become perfect just to be a Grand Duchess? In the next second, the teacher's expression soured again. She criticized Lena's pronunciation, saying it sounded nothing like a noble's. How disappointing. Under the teacher's constant belittling, Lena began to doubt herself. Did the Grand Duke and the maids only praise her to spare her feelings? A proper young noblewoman must possess etiquette, grace, and beauty. But of course, the most important thing is bloodline. Lena understood. The teacher was targeting her simply because she looked down on her status as a commoner orphan. But her brother Wendy had told her that no matter her status or what she'd been through, she was the best child in the world. Lena instantly found her courage. She looked the teacher straight in the eye. I am a noble lady now. I am the one and only Grand Duchess of the Barreau family. And yet, teacher, you have completely ignored my current status. You didn't even greet me with a curtsy when you arrived. The teacher looked as if she'd heard a joke. Miss, I can understand that you're ashamed of your past. Why should I be ashamed? I have never once been ashamed of being a commoner. Seeing Lena starting to fight back, the teacher had no choice but to curtsy and introduce herself. I am Lima Bain. Our goal for this month is simply to catch up to 1/3 of Princess Ella's level. Lena was stunned. Why bring up Ella out of nowhere? To her surprise, Lima had a look of pure adoration on her face. Princess Ella may be young, but she is a perfect being in every respect. At your age, you should have already learned so many things. Lena was speechless. She was the exact same age as Ella. How could this teacher be so biased? And she completely refused to admit it. With an attitude of this is who I am, what are you going to do about it? Lena was absolutely furious. Since you like nobles so much, then I'll let you have a taste of a noble's power. When it was time for dinner, as soon as the Duke and her brothers sat down, Lena started to cry. Seeing their sister looking so aggrieved, Wendy and Dale immediately panicked. Shoo shoo, what's wrong? Who made you cry? Lina cried harder and harder, and the Duke, his heart aching for her, quickly asked what was wrong. Dad, am I a bad person? Does my identity as an orphan make you feel ashamed? The Duke lost his composure upon hearing this. Who said such a thing to you? Was it your teacher? The teacher said that someone like me would be a disgrace to the ducal house. Dad, does my existence bring you shame? Lina's words pierced the Duke's heart. A ruthless look appeared in the man's eyes. Head maid, go and bring that teacher here now. It's the young lady's first day, and she's already being suppressed by an arrogant teacher, who belittles the girl's past as a commoner orphan. To stand up for his precious daughter, the Duke questioned the teacher, asking why she had humiliated her. My daughter is only 6 years old. After your lesson, she asked me if she should be ashamed of her past. What on earth did you teach her? But the teacher slickly argued that this was normal. Only by recognizing the inadequacies of her past can she make greater progress in the future. Lina was stunned. This teacher was way too good at twisting words. Your Highness, it's a good thing for the young lady to recognize who she is. There is indeed a huge gap between her and the noble ladies of the capital. However, now that I am here, I will certainly take full responsibility for the young lady, and make her the most perfect being among the nobility. At that moment, the Duke interrupted the teacher's impassioned speech. Shoo shoo is my only daughter. She doesn't need to be compared to anyone else. The Duke held Lina in his arms. My darling, you are the best in the entire world. I've said before that I would never let my daughter cry again. Therefore, you are fired. Upon hearing this, the teacher immediately panicked. No, I must stay and teach the young lady. But Lina found it strange. Why was she so certain that she had to be the one to teach me? Her desperation to stay seems very suspicious. Could it be she has another motive? In order to figure out the teacher's intentions, Lina begged the Duke to let the teacher stay. But she made you sad. Wouldn't it be better if we found a kinder teacher? Lina had no good reason to refuse, so she had to resort to her ultimate weapon, acting cute and spoiled. The Duke had no choice but to agree. He warned the teacher that if she ever made Lina sad and cry again, she would be finished. That night, as Lina was getting ready for bed, a white-haired boy suddenly appeared before her. Lina recognized him at a glance as the figure who had flashed by last time. Looking at the boy's cool and distant face, that feeling of déjà vu appeared once again. Lina tried to touch him, but her hand passed right through his body. The boy whispered, "Be careful," and then vanished from before Lina's eyes. When Lina came to her senses, she wondered, was he telling me to be careful of teacher Lima? Thinking about it, the Duke hadn't even announced the news of her adoption in the papers yet, but the teacher knew her past in such detail. And she was so insistent on staying. Could it be that I am her target? Lina suddenly had a bad feeling. The teacher couldn't have been sent by the Empress, could she? In that case, I'll just observe her for now. Lina sat alone in the garden, looking unhappy. It turned out a maid from the laundry room had ruined the ribbon on her nightgown. But that nightgown was the first gift her father had ever given her. Lina cherished it so much that she couldn't help but get angry at the maid. Thinking about it now, the maid didn't ruin it on purpose. It was really unreasonable for me to yell at her. Her personal maid, Nicole, comforted Lina, but it was something you treasured, after all. It's okay to get angry. But Lina knew that even if she treated everyone kindly, there would still be people in the mansion who didn't like her. Having grown up in an orphanage where she always had to read people's expressions, she could tell at a glance what someone thought of her. Lina's sensible demeanor made Nicole's heart ache for her. Just then, Nicole told Lina that she had just seen the laundry maid complaining to teacher Lidori. The two of them were quite the lively pair, gossiping away. Lina never expected that her father's previous warning had absolutely no effect on the teacher. Now she'd even started gossiping behind her back. For a teacher who supposedly revered the nobility to get close to a low-ranking maid, there must be a motive. She told Nicole to bring that maid to her. She wanted to ask her personally what was going on. A young maid knelt on the floor, trembling. All because she had ruined the young lady's favorite nightgown that morning. She'd been yelled at by the young lady, and now she was being called in for a private talk. The young lady must still be angry and want to punish her again. My lady, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. But the scolding she expected never came. I'm very pleased with your courage in admitting your mistake. Why don't you come be my personal maid? Prang was stunned, but seeing the serious look on the young lady's face, it didn't seem like she was joking. Was she really going from a scullery maid doing menial chores to being promoted to the young lady's personal maid? This was a complete reversal of fortune. Prang was happily serving Lina when Lina suddenly grew pensive. There's something I want to talk to you about. I heard you've been badmouthing me behind my back. Is that true? Prang was so frightened by these words she nearly fell apart. She quickly explained that she would never do such a thing. Someone must be framing me. But a teacher I trust is the one who told me. Prang's heart skipped a beat. She immediately knelt down and kowtowed repeatedly. She confessed everything. It was that teacher. She kept inciting me, telling me to voice all my grievances. I absolutely never meant to resent you, my lady. That teacher is always telling the maids things about you. What she says is always ambiguous. It makes it easy for the maids to get a bad impression of you. Then, she'll approach those maids to get close to them, and they'll gossip about you together. Lina understood. If what Prang said was true, then the teacher was deliberately creating rumors to maliciously slander her. But why would she do that? Prang, I'll give you a chance to atone for your mistake. Are you willing to do as I say? My lady, just give the order. I'll do whatever you ask. That evening, the Grand Duke came again to tell Lina a story to lull her to sleep. The warm father-daughter moment didn't last long. Suddenly, an attendant came in to report an emergency. The Grand Duke left Lina in her room and went out with the attendant. Lina tossed and turned, unable to sleep. She quietly snuck out to eavesdrop. It turned out that two lords had come to the Grand Duke's domain for help. A mysterious infectious disease had suddenly broken out in their lands. Many people were already dead, and they were completely unable to handle it on their own. They hoped the Grand Duke could lend them a hand. Lina was a little confused. Why were they asking Dad for help? What does it have to do with him? The Grand Duke noticed Lina standing nearby. I'm sorry, I won't be able to read to you today. He carried Lina back to her bed, told her to sleep well, and left. But Lina couldn't sleep at all. Looking out the window, she saw that many people had come to the Grand Duke's estate today. It seemed the situation was very serious. Just then, Dale ran over to find Lina. His face full of excitement, he wanted to take Lina downstairs to join in on the commotion. The knight, Roland, stepped forward to stop Dale. You two should be asleep now. But Dale didn't listen at all. He picked Lina up and ran downstairs. I'm going on an adventure with my sister. No one can stop me. The two of them snuck out, staying up late at night. They hid by the door of the meeting room and eavesdropped on the adults' conversation. It turned out a terrible infectious disease had broken out in two villages. Patients would first develop a fever and vomit, and by the third day, they would bleed from all over their body and die. The doctors were completely helpless against it. Lina listened to the adults' discussion, but felt like he'd seen these symptoms somewhere before. This looks like a very serious illness. Dale's voice caught the Grand Duke's attention, and just like that, the two little ones were discovered. Dale, Shushu, what are you two doing here? And Roland, have you forgotten your duty as a guard? Seeing Roland getting scolded, Lina quickly took the blame on herself. I couldn't sleep, so I insisted on coming. Dale stepped forward to defend his sister. Father, I'm the one who kidnapped Shushu and made her come with me. After that, the Grand Duke couldn't bring himself to scold them. He had no choice but to let them both join in. The Grand Duke then introduced Lina to the two lords. This is my darling daughter. Seeing the adorable child, the two lords also smiled warmly. The topic returned to the epidemic. The way all the patients had died was incredibly gruesome. They died incurable, bleeding from their eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. Blood stained the entire village. It was like a crimson lake. And then, Lina finally remembered. It was the Ruby Lake disease from the original novel. Back then, Princess Ella had used her elfin powers to resolve the incident. She was revered by the people as the saintess. But this disease was supposed to happen in the middle of the original story. And the location wasn't the Grand Duke's domain, either. How could it suddenly be happening here, so much earlier? Lina also knew that this wasn't an epidemic at all. Instead, someone had poisoned the wells. They had all died from the poison. In the original story, while tracing the source of the poison, Ella had identified the Grand Duke as the mastermind. In the end, the Grand Duke was tragically beheaded, and brother Wendy succeeded him, becoming the new Grand Duke. The thought of her father's tragic end made Lina tremble with fear. Noticing Lina's expression, the Grand Duke immediately grew concerned. Lina explained that she was fine, just a little frightened. Dale thought his sister had been frightened to tears by their conversation. The Grand Duke comforted Lina, telling her not to worry. I'll resolve this soon. But Lina was extremely worried. What if this incident unfolds just like it did in the original story? What if the royal family makes father take the blame again? Was she going to lose her family again? Dale held Lina to comfort her. Sleep with your brother tonight. I'll protect you. Lina couldn't understand why this was all happening several years ahead of schedule. At this point in time, Ella was still too young. She wouldn't have any way to save the patients. But why use poison? Just then, a thought struck Lina. If someone points to another person as the culprit right from the start, could it be that they are the real culprit themselves? They must be doing this because they have something to gain from it. Lina had a daring thought. The person who accused her father was Ella. Could this incident actually be beneficial to Ella and the Imperial Consort? For their own gain, would they slaughter innocent villagers just like that? Lina realized this was the Imperial Consort's revenge against the Grand Duke. Because the Grand Duke had adopted her, the consort was attacking his domain to make him pay a terrible price. What am I going to do? Dale had no idea what Lina was worrying about. He could only hold his sister, comforting her over and over. The next day, Prang handed Lina a bottle. I did as you instructed. The person has taken the bait. Lina's expression was incredibly serious. Now, tell me exactly what happened. A tutor from the young Duchess's household had instructed the maid, Prang, to take a bottle of mysterious liquid and hide it in Lina's vanity, telling her that if she just did this, Lina would be driven out of the Grand Duke's residence. Prang never expected her teacher to be so horrible. that she would dare to harm the young lady. She immediately told Lina everything. Lina opened the bottle, and a strange fragrance immediately hit her. And the liquid inside had turned from purple to clear. What in the world is this? Why would I be kicked out of the Grand Duke's mansion for this? Could this be the Ruby Lake poison? It all suddenly clicked for Lina. There had been mass deaths from poisoning throughout the Grand Duke's territory. And the poison had been discovered in Lina's room, all because she possesses elven powers. So, the Empress wouldn't have her killed. She'd use her youth as an excuse to spare her the death penalty and have her exiled instead. Once she fell into the Empress's hands, all that awaited her would be endless torture. Her being adopted by the Grand Duke had disrupted the Empress's original plan, which is why she acted years ahead of schedule with the poison. The goal was to take her away. Lina considered this carefully. The situation was too urgent for her to just sit back and wait. She had to confront her teacher face to face. Lina ran straight to her teacher's room and, feigning affection, reached for her teacher's hand. But her hand was flung away. My apologies. I'm not used to being touched. Then, Lina noticed a suitcase on the table. Is she planning to make a run for it after planting the poison? Lina took out the bottle. I found this in my room. Teacher, do you know what this is? The teacher's expression froze instantly. How could you not know, teacher? The scent of this is identical to your perfume. It's poison. The teacher was shocked that Lina knew everything. Her expression turned vicious. Just then, Prang rushed in. The teacher became furious at the sight of her. You useless fool. You can't even hide one little thing. What a disappointment. At this point, she dropped the pretense. She stormed forward and grabbed Lina harshly. How did you know it was poison? Unfazed, Lina questioned her directly. The Empress made you do this, didn't she? The teacher ordered Prang to hold Lina down while she pulled out a large burlap sack, preparing to abduct her. So you planned to kidnap me from the very beginning, didn't you? You really are a terrible person. Lina was only a child, after all. Despite her struggles, the teacher managed to tie her hands. Me? Awful? You're the awful one. To think a little girl like you would dare poison people in the Grand Duke's territory and then try to run away from your crime. You really are a wicked child. The teacher smirked triumphantly, looking down at the helpless Lina. She threatened Prang, telling her to spread rumors that Lina was the poisoner if she wanted to live. Lina was livid. This wretched woman had committed murder and was trying to frame her for it. Just as they were about to blindfold Lina, the door to the room was violently thrown open. The Grand Duke, Wendy, and Sir Roland suddenly appeared, just in time to witness Lina being abducted. Wendy rushed forward to protect his sister, while the Grand Duke seized the teacher by the throat. How dare you threaten my daughter? The murderous intent in the Grand Duke's eyes was unmistakable. Just as he was about to snap the teacher's neck, Lina quickly stopped him. Father, you can't kill her yet. She probably still has the antidote. The Grand Duke told Roland to take Lina back to her room, but from behind him came Prang's terrified scream. Wendy already had his sword at Prang's throat. He would not spare the maid who had tried to harm his sister. But Lina pleaded with Wendy to release Prang. As it turned out, just a moment ago, Lina had instructed Prang to enter the room 5 minutes after she did and pretend to be the teacher's accomplice. Meanwhile, Nicole was to find the Grand Duke and her brother Wendy after 10 minutes and ask them to come rescue her. She was just following my orders. Brother, please let her go. Prang, her life spared, was overcome with gratitude for Lina. A moment ago, she truly thought she had been abandoned. She could have been executed for slandering her lady behind her back before. But her lady had forgiven her and saved her life. My lady is an angel. At that moment, Wendy came looking for Lina. But he came with bad news. The teacher was refusing to name the person behind the plot. Although they all knew it was the Empress, without any evidence. They would be accused of slandering the imperial family. What's more, this poison has no antidote. Lina panicked. What was she going to do? Could she only stand by and watch those villagers die from the poison? The imperial consort never planned on giving them the antidote from the very beginning, did she? A member of the royal family, yet she treats the lives of innocent people as a tool for her own gain. How could she be so cruel? This is absolutely unforgivable. Her father looked at Lina and couldn't help but frown. Shushu, you were almost kidnapped today. Why do you always put yourself in such dangerous situations? But Lina felt that since she had notified her father and brother in advance, nothing bad should have happened. Are you that certain you would have been perfectly fine? The Grand Duke looked at Lina with a complicated expression. He approached her step by step, exuding a dark aura. What if you had been taken away before I got there? For the first time, the demonic Grand Duke was furious, all because Lina had disregarded her own safety. Faced the Imperial Consort's men all by herself, and was almost kidnapped. But Lina still felt that she would have been fine. What if that person had a knife and stabbed you? What if that person had poured poison directly into your mouth? Faced with her father's questioning, Lina hastily explained, only if I went by myself. Could I get information out of her? I was just trying to save everyone. But I don't want my young daughter sacrificing herself for information. After saying this, the Grand Duke closed his eyes in pain. The helplessness and sorrow in his words deeply stung Lina's heart. Lina regretted it. She hadn't expected her stubbornness would cause her father so much pain. I just wanted to help you, Dad. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Large teardrops fell, her voice tinged with a pleading tone. The Grand Duke's heart ached, but he also felt a bit of relief. He opened his arms and pulled Lena into his embrace. His daughter was so well behaved and considerate. How could he possibly scold her any further? At night, the Grand Duke was telling Lena a bedtime story to help her sleep. As he spoke, Lena was suddenly inspired. If she could just gather the toxins and expel them from the body, wouldn't the villagers' poison be cured? Her spirit power could turn thoughts into reality. It should work if she gave it a try, right? Lena asked her father to bring her the bottle of poison. She held it tightly in her hand, using it as a medium to track the poison inside their bodies. Lena imagined a tiny little water droplet that could absorb the toxins, and was just the right size for someone to swallow. A dazzling light suddenly shone around Lena. Her imagination began to materialize. Countless small spheres appeared around her. The Grand Duke stared at the scene, unable to react for a long moment. Dad, just have the poison people eat this. After speaking, she lost her strength and collapsed into her father's arms. This should cure the poison now, and Dad won't have to work so hard anymore. Hearing his daughter's murmurs, the Grand Duke's eyes instantly burned with tears. He held his daughter's small body, his heart filled with emotion and joy. Lena's method worked. The poisoned villagers all recovered their health. Lena's heroic deed was also published in the newspaper. The report not only made her existence known to the public, but it also highlighted and praised the Grand Duke's efforts in the matter. Lena became known as the genius Grand Duchess. Even the Grand Duke's family image improved greatly. Nicole secretly told Lena, I heard the Grand Duke and the young masters bought a ton of copies of this issue. They're all stored in their rooms. They even started trying to buy out the newspaper company for you. This made Lena a little embarrassed. Isn't that a bit over the top? Lena had her maids dress her up meticulously. To celebrate the perfect resolution of the incident, she was going shopping with her father. They arrived at a candy store. Because of the curse, the clerk started trembling the moment they saw the Grand Duke. Lena felt a little bad, but the Grand Duke was already used to it. Lena picked out some mint-flavored candies, seeing that her father really liked them. Lena had used her own pocket money to buy the mints. She held the candy box out to the Grand Duke. This is a gift for you, Papa. I hope you can have one to help with the exhaustion whenever you're tired from work. But just then, a man walking by accidentally knocked the candy box from her hands, and it rolled to a stop at his feet. Lena looked up and saw the man staring at her in astonishment. The moment the girl saw the man, she felt he looked so familiar. And for the man, he knew at first glance. But her body instinctively recoiled from getting any closer to him, though Lena had no idea why. She just watched the man from a distance without a word. The Grand Duke stepped forward to pick up the fallen candy box. But the sight of him bending over was jarring to Lena. She hated seeing her father bow and scrape before this man. The Grand Duke stood up and exchanged a few quiet words with the man. Lena was a little surprised. Do they know each other? A moment later, the Grand Duke picked Lena up. Let's go. Papa will buy you something else. Seeing such a heartwarming scene, the man felt an unbearable ache in his heart. He silently pleaded, don't go. My daughter, just look at me one more time. The Emperor had never expected this. He had originally heard that the Grand Duke had captured one of the Empress's cronies, so he sent men to investigate why the Empress had sent someone to the Grand Duke's domain. The investigation unexpectedly revealed that the Empress would periodically send people to an orphanage that exclusively took in girls. This gave the Emperor a premonition. The child he had been searching for 6 years might not be a son, but a daughter. Then, he heard that the Grand Duke's family had adopted a 6-year-old girl. This girl was from that very orphanage, and her name was Lena. The Emperor's heart skipped a beat. He and the Empress had once made a promise. If they had a boy, he would be named Shuerfu, and if they had a girl, she would be named Lena. A storm of emotions welled up inside the Emperor. So his child really was alive and well in this world. He had to find her. He had to protect her. The Emperor set out at once, traveling day and night to reach the Grand Duke's domain. On the way, he imagined their first meeting. Should he call out her name first? Or just pull her into a hug? Should he tell her, I'm your real father? And what would Lena say to him? Would she say she missed him? Or would she blame him, asking why it took him so long to find her? The Emperor just never expected that he would run into Lena by chance on the street. And though he had recognized her at first glance, Lena just looked at him with the eyes of a stranger. There was no touching reunion between father and daughter. Nothing at all. Hearing Lena call the Grand Duke Papa brought the Emperor crashing back to reality. His daughter had already been adopted by the Grand Duke. I trust your majesty has been well. Faced with the Grand Duke's greeting, the Emperor felt surprisingly nervous. It has been a long time, Grand Duke. He needed to talk to the Grand Duke. Bringing Lena back to the Imperial Palace was the only thing that mattered. Noticing the Emperor's intense gaze fixed on Lena, the Grand Duke declared his claim with icy words. The Emperor was stunned. The Grand Duke actually knew Lena was of royal blood. Does that mean he has no intention of returning her to me? But Lena is a princess. She's my own daughter. Then why did you let her live such a miserable life? For 6 whole years, you never once protected her. The Grand Duke's accusation left the Emperor stunned. How could his child's life have been miserable? The orphanage had seemed well-funded and warm. Even if it wasn't as luxurious as the palace, she should have had a happy life. The Grand Duke could only think how naive the Emperor was. For 6 years, you abandoned her. What right do you have to be her father now? With that, he picked up Lina and left, leaving the Emperor standing alone and defeated in the cold wind. He was the girl's biological father, yet all he could do was watch helplessly as his daughter called another man Papa. The pain was unbearable for the Emperor. And to think, the Empress was the one responsible for tearing him and his daughter apart. The Emperor gritted his teeth in hatred. That vile woman. She actually dared to lie to me and say my child was dead. They even intentionally lied about the child's gender so he couldn't find her. What's even more infuriating is, even the head physician, who had worked by the Empress's side for over 10 years, lied to him too. But the doctor insisted that the Empress had given birth to a boy. However, he said it wasn't a stillbirth as the Empress consort claimed. Instead, a maid came to report several hours after the birth, saying the child had died. Afterwards, a funeral was held quickly according to royal tradition. The Emperor had no idea what had truly happened, but now that he had found Lina, he was determined to bring her back to his side. Meanwhile, a lively party was taking place in the palace. Apparently, Princess Ella had invited the children of the nobility to have some fun. As she listened to everyone's praise and flattery, Ella responded with an elegant smile, but inwardly, she was seething with resentment. It had been so long since she'd thrown such a grand party, and yet her father was absent. If only my brother were here, too. Everyone would be calling them the most adorable siblings. When she heard people discussing the Emperor's summons to find someone with elemental power, Ella immediately thought of Lina. How dare that girl steal the elemental power that should have been mine at birth? So annoying. Although I still have a reserve of the elemental power that was extracted from her. What am I going to do in the future? What if father insists on bringing that girl back to the palace? Then I guess I'll have to force myself to get along with her. After all, a stupid, lowly commoner like her can only be cared for by a kind and elegant princess like me. At this thought, Ella sighed helplessly. Being a perfect princess is just so exhausting. To show off her elemental power, Ella ordered a maid to bring a small bird. As the gemstone on her wrist began to glow, the bird actually began to sing a beautiful, enchanting song. The guests were all left in absolute awe. To think I could see Her Highness the Princess use her elemental power with my own eyes. It's so magical. Her Highness is as beautiful as a fairy. The endless stream of compliments left Ella feeling extremely satisfied. Just then, Ella asked the crowd, "Has everyone heard about the person my father has been searching for recently?" Boy immediately spoke up excitedly. "I heard they discovered a new royal who possesses elemental power. This is wonderful news for the Empire." But Ella's face instantly darkened. This idiot didn't understand the meaning behind my words. I should probably teach him a lesson in public. As she walked past the boy, she pretended to accidentally knock over his glass, and his expensive suit was immediately soaked with stains. Ella smiled, pleased with her successful revenge. Don't you all find it strange that a royal with an unknown history has suddenly appeared? I heard she grew up with commoners. Do you think she might be a member of a lesser branch of the royal family? Or perhaps the illegitimate child of some royal member? What a pitiful background. After hearing Ella's words, several guests began to express sympathy for this new royal's background. At the same time, they praised the princess for being so incredibly kind. Inwardly, Ella was overjoyed. How could a girl who grew up among commoners possibly be my equal? Now that everyone knows about that child's pathetic background, even if she comes to the palace, they'll all treat her like a commoner princess, won't they? Meanwhile, at the Grand Duke's estate, Lina suggested that she wanted to study the history of the Grand Duke's family, because according to the original novel, the Empress consort and Ella would continue to commit evil acts, deliberately creating incidents and then resolving them. To boost their own prestige and solidify their positive image, Lina knew she had to stop them. She would use her knowledge of the original plot to enhance the Grand Duke's family's reputation and change the public's perception of them. If she remembered correctly, the next key event would take place in the forest of demonic beasts near the Grand Duke's estate. A white demonic beast would appear. She had to find information about the forest first, and be fully prepared. While she was alone in the records room, a book suddenly fell from a nearby shelf. Lina froze for a moment. Could it be a thief? She cautiously crept closer, only to see that same blonde-haired boy again. The two of them stared at each other through the gap in the bookshelf. Lina couldn't help but ask, "Who are you?" But the young man didn't answer. The only sound in the silence was Lina's own heartbeat. Suddenly, Lina ran to the other side of the bookshelf, but the young man had vanished. Could he be a ghost? No, that's impossible. There's no such thing as ghosts in this world. I'm just scaring myself. In her panic, Lina kicked the book that had fallen on the floor. A line of text in the book caught her eye. The Otherworldly Rift. Her curiosity piqued. Lina began to read it carefully. The Magical Beast Jungle. This was exactly the information Lina had been looking for. So, does that mean that boy was trying to help me? Lena looked up and asked the empty room. Are you still here? But there was still no reply. Thank you for your help. The book stated that a vast amount of magical energy was concentrated in the jungle. This caused many of the plants and animals to transform into magical beasts. Thanks to a protective barrier, the beasts were unable to leave the jungle. But suddenly, 1 week before the New Year's festival, all the magical beasts escaped. The Barreau family was to be held responsible for the incident. Lena didn't quite understand. Why was the Grand Duke's family specifically held responsible? But one thing became clear to her. The Imperial Consort was planning something in the magical beast jungle. She was probably after the immense magical energy concentrated there. According to the original plot, the magical beast that appeared in the jungle this time was enormous and fierce. As the Grand Duke, her father would certainly lead the expedition to defeat it. However, what no one expected was that during the New Year's festival, after the beast was successfully defeated, and everyone had let their guard down, the magical beasts appeared once more. Lena wondered, should she warn her father to launch another expedition during the New Year's festival? But her father would surely ask why. And how could she possibly explain it to him? For a moment, Lena's face was etched with worry. It was bad enough that the royal family was always scheming in the capital. But why did they have to involve the innocent people of the Grand Duchy? Still, Lena didn't give up. Right now, she was the only one who knew about the coming crisis. Lena walked out of the records room. She asked a maid to find her brother, Wendy. There was something she needed his help with. Hearing that his sister was looking for him, Wendy immediately dropped everything and made arrangements. He brought over all the materials Lena needed. Lena began looking through the documents about mages. She tried to predict the Imperial Consort's next move. Looking at his sister's serious expression, Wendy recalled the dangerous situation when she was almost kidnapped. Lena was far too impulsive. She wasn't planning on trying to solve something by herself again, was she? At that thought, Wendy looked directly at Lena. Shushu, if you're not using these materials for your studies, then I hope you'll stay out of dangerous affairs. Even if the situation is urgent, you can't handle it yourself. You have me, our brothers, and father. Lena wanted to argue, but seeing the worried look on Wendy's face, she couldn't bring herself to say anything. If you get hurt, we would all be worried. We're a family. Protecting you is what's most important. I can't draw any real conclusions just by speculating. If only I could go to the magical beast jungle and investigate myself. But father would never let me go. And I already promised Wendy I wouldn't do anything reckless on my own. Is there some way I could go with father and my brothers? Seeing that her lady had been studying all night, Nicole came over, concerned for Lena. My lady, you should get some rest. While it's wonderful that you love to learn, you mustn't push yourself too hard. Her words suddenly gave Lena an idea. If I say I want to learn more about the jungle, they might agree to it. When it was time for dinner, while her father and brothers were all present, Lena suddenly announced she had something to give them. Lena held up 3 invitations. My birthday is coming up soon, and I want to spend it with all of you. Lena's heart pounded with nervousness. It is the first time I've ever made a request like this. They'll probably accept it, right? On the invitation was a stick figure drawing of their family of 4. It said, "It's my birthday. I hope everyone can celebrate with me." Shushu, your birthday is right during the New Year's festival. Lena explained that she probably wasn't born on that day. It might have been the day she was sent to the orphanage. So that date was designated as her birthday. The Grand Duke was incredibly touched to receive an invitation from his daughter for the first time. Meanwhile, her brothers were already discussing how to throw a lively birthday party, but Lena didn't want any of that. She made her own small request. Now that I'm a member of the Grand Duke's family, I want to properly study the family's history. I was in the records room earlier and read some books about the demon forest. So I was hoping we could all go on a picnic there. Before she could even finish, everyone cut her off in unison. No, absolutely not. Why not? We'll just stick to the safe route. Besides, I'll be with you the entire time. You'll protect me, and I'll protect you. Lena looked at her father with pleading eyes. Dad, please? Pretty please, Dad? The Grand Duke, who was completely powerless against his daughter, didn't last more than a few minutes before happily agreeing to her request. This is the first time Shushu has ever asked for a gift. After all, he had already decided to dote on this daughter forever and give her everything she wanted. Don't worry, Dad, I promise I'll stay right by your side. The next day, the 4 of them, fully equipped, set off. The entire mountain pass was already covered in a thick blanket of white snow. Lena kept looking all around. Just outside the entrance, she got a strange feeling, as if someone in there was calling out to her. She felt a bit dizzy. Her father and brothers looked at her with concern. Just then, a voice suddenly echoed in her ear. Before Lena could even react, a white creature suddenly lunged at her. She stared, frozen, as it pounced. Unable to react in time. With lightning-fast reflexes, Wendy restrained the kitty. Grand Duke, meanwhile, was concerned about whether his daughter had been frightened. Lena was a little confused. Could this be the demonic beast? It looks way too small. The kitty stared at Lena with wide, pleading eyes, desperate to get closer to her. It struggled fiercely in Wendy's arms, broke free, and pounced at Lena again, pinning her firmly to the ground. In that moment, Lena felt a familiar power. It was very similar to her own spirit power, yet slightly different. Could this be the spirit power that was stolen by Ella? Fortunately, the Grand Duke rescued Lena just in time. Dad, can magic and spirit power exist in the same body at once? No, the two cannot coexist. They would conflict with each other, and the person would die very quickly. Looking at the kitty clinging to her, Lena felt a sliver of worry. She could sense magic power contained within the kitty's heart, while spirit power swirled around it. If she couldn't remove the spirit power, it probably wouldn't live for much longer. In the original story, the imperial consort committed all sorts of evil deeds in order to seize the empress's throne. She was especially cruel to Lena, the empress's daughter, while doting on her own child. She even elevated her daughter to the position of saintess. Looking at the kitty, Lena felt a sense of shared suffering. Like her, it was another poor, pitiful creature being used by the imperial consort. Lena tried to remove the spirit power from the kitty, but the intense pain caused her to collapse to the ground. What's happening? Does this mean that absorbed spirit power can't be removed? Well, if I can't remove it, what about hiding it? Lena conjured a ribbon in her hand and used it as a seal to hide the spirit power. As soon as it wore the ribbon, the large cat transformed into a small kitten. Lena explained what happened to the Grand Duke. The Grand Duke immediately deduced that the imperial consort's subordinates must still be nearby. At the Grand Duke's command, dozens of guards suddenly appeared as if from thin air, kneeling in unison before them. Search the area, arrest anyone suspicious on sight. Lena then asked the little kitten, "Do you know where the person who did this to you is?" The little kitten immediately walked a few steps forward after hearing that. Seeing Lena suddenly run off, the Grand Duke and her brothers also sprang into action. Before long, the kitten stopped in front of a patch of woods, but Lena didn't see anyone strange. The Grand Duke, however, drew his sword and slashed at the empty air, breaking an invisibility spell. Just like that, a mage was exposed. He turned to run, but Lena immediately used her elven power to conjure a large net. The mage was subdued on the spot. The Grand Duke approvingly patted his daughter's head, praising her for a job well done. The next second, the Grand Duke's expression turned cold. He walked up to the mage. "Wendell, Dale, watch closely. Daring to do strange things in my domain. I'll teach you how to deal with guys like this." The poisonous imperial consort, mad to achieve her goals, sent people to the beast forest to accelerate the growth of magical beasts, plotting to launch an attack during the New Year's festival. Fortunately, the Grand Duke's family discovered it in time and captured him alive on the spot. Faced with the imperial consort's lackey, the Grand Duke planned to send him directly to his next life, but Lena came up with a better idea. The next day, the Grand Duke went to the place where the captured mage was being held. The mage was kneeling on the ground, trembling with fear. "When will the person who sent you make contact?" "They will contact me 2 weeks before the new year arrives." "Then who is the person who sent you?" "It's an elder from the magic tower." But the Grand Duke knew his true master was actually the imperial consort. However, they were fiercely loyal to her. They would never expose the imperial consort. Without their testimony, there was no way to charge the imperial consort for her actions. "If they contact you, just say everything is going smoothly. Your duty is to make sure they don't get suspicious." The mage kowtowed repeatedly, agreeing. After making the arrangements, the Grand Duke turned and left the prison. The knight who had been sent on a task had already returned. He had followed the Grand Duke's instructions and installed the mechanical device made by the young lady at the entrance of the magical beast jungle. The moment this device was mentioned, the Grand Duke couldn't stop praising Lena, showering his daughter with all kinds of compliments. The knight had heard so much praise his ears were about to grow calluses. Yes, the young lady is truly amazing. It turned out Lena had made a device with a windmill. All they had to do was tie that mage to a post and then start the windmill. The scent of blood and a human body would then spread with the wind, and the magical beasts that were usually scattered everywhere would gather at this location. When that happened, the knights would be waiting there to annihilate the beasts in one fell swoop. It would save them from chasing beasts all over the mountains, saving money, effort, and time. The Grand Duke entrusted this entire difficult task to the knights. He, on the other hand, had to celebrate his precious daughter's birthday. After all, this was Lena's first birthday. He absolutely had to spend it with her. Didn't that mean he wouldn't miss a single one in the future? Meanwhile, Lena was discussing with her brothers what to name the little kitten. Dale suggested calling it Xiaoxi, but the kitten looked disgusted after hearing it. "Brother Dale, I don't think the kitten likes it." Wendell also said the name was too old-fashioned. Just then, the Grand Duke came to see the children. As soon as he sat down, the little kitten hissed at him, showing a clear "you're not welcome" attitude. Lena quickly scolded it, saying it had to get along with her father. Unexpectedly, the little cat's attitude changed in an instant. It jumped into Lena's arms and started acting cute. Lena suggested that her father give the kitten a name, Because, from the first time you called my name, I think I fell in love with you, Papa. This moved the old father so much he almost burst into tears in front of everyone. After some thought, the Grand Duke named the kitten Mia. After hearing it, the kitten affectionately rubbed against the Grand Duke's leg, as if it was very satisfied with the name. Just then, Lina looked at her father with an expectant expression. Papa, can I keep Mia? Can I live with her? But the Grand Duke was still a little worried. After all, this cat was a magical beast that the Imperial Consort had sent someone to accelerate the growth of. Although Lina had suppressed its power. Was it really okay? Lina was seen holding the little cat's paw, model. And with a sincere expression asked it, Mia, I will always protect you. Can you be my kitten? Mia then let out a loud meow. As if to say yes. The Duke was immediately amused by this scene. He gladly agreed to Lina's request. I will always protect you all. It was only then that the Duke and her two older brothers realized that they had no idea what Lina liked. The three of them quickly called an emergency meeting, summoning Lina's two personal maids to ask about her preferences. Prang said the young miss loved chocolate pie the most. Previously, when the young miss had rewarded her, she had given her a chocolate pie. It was also the first thing she ate during snack time. But seeing the reaction of the father and his two sons, it was clear this was the wrong answer. Nicole, on the other hand, was much more experienced. She first asked the Duke why he was investigating the young miss's preferences. Because Shushu's birthday is coming up soon. I want her to have the happiest day ever. So you need a truly perfect birthday gift. Nicole thought back carefully. The young miss usually liked the Duke and the young masters, Mia, her dolls, and all kinds of delicious food. Just then, she suddenly realized, it seemed the young miss didn't have anything she especially liked. A sense of failure suddenly washed over her. She felt she was completely unqualified as a personal maid. She was dumbfounded that she didn't even know what her mistress liked. Nicole assured the Duke that she would take the young miss to the treasure vault to figure out her preferences. But unexpectedly, Lina was completely calm when she saw all the treasures. Prang, on the other hand, was incredibly excited. Nicole pointed to an exquisite dollhouse and asked Lina if she liked it. Lina's reaction was lukewarm. She only commented that it was very exquisite. Prang waved a glittering golden sword. Lina only said it was very pretty. Instead, a large, closed door caught her attention. The three of them pushed the door open and went inside. The little cat, Mia, suddenly darted out of Lina's arms. She ran straight for a high platform in front of them. As the three of them approached, they were stunned by the sight. It was a pool full of gold. Legend had it that the Duke's family possessed a massive piece of gold. To make it easier to use, the Duke had used magic to turn the gold into flowing, golden sand. For the first time, Lina truly understood. The Duke's family wealth was unimaginably vast. Suddenly, Lina jumped right into the pool. She lay on top of it, splashing around, reveling in the feeling of being surrounded by wealth. Prang also jumped in to join the fun. This is wonderful. It's like a dream. Nicole also slowly sat down in the pool. She felt that this must be the thing the young miss liked most in the treasury. But Lina didn't have any special feelings about it. She just thought lying on it was fun, like lying on pudding. When she had played enough, Lina called for Mia, ready to leave. But the little money-loving cat just stayed in the pool, refusing to go. Lina called a few times, but it ignored her. She had no choice but to leave the two maids behind to stay with Mia. As for herself, she went to check the display room. That was the place where she had first met the ghost boy. Lina wanted to try her luck, but after wandering around for a long time, there was no sign of the ghost boy. Lina began to study a portrait of the Duke's ancestor. The woman in the painting was spirited and strikingly handsome. She had an indescribable, noble air about her. Lina looked closer. Suddenly, she felt the ghost boy looked just like the ancestor. Could he also be a member of the Duke's family? Then, Lina noticed the ancestor's hand. Her outstretched finger seemed to be pointing somewhere. Lina followed the direction of her finger and saw only a cabinet. She knocked on the wall and discovered that it was hollow inside. Lina planned to use her elven power to dig a small hole to see, but unexpectedly, the wall suddenly shattered, emitting a blinding light. A strange magical array thus appeared. The girl had only touched the wall, yet she had broken a seal that had been closed for 1,000 years. The moment the wall shattered, Nicole rushed forward and held Lina tightly to protect her. Before they could even catch their breath, a small head suddenly peeked out from a hole in the wall. It had a chubby little body with a pair of small wings, and under a sharp horn, two large purple eyes were staring right at Lina. Nicole immediately reacted, pulling Lina behind her for protection, but Lina told her not to worry. For some reason, she had a feeling this little creature wouldn't hurt her. Its eyes were the same color as her father's, her brothers, and their ancestors. Dad had once said that the founder of the Grand Duke's family was a dragon. Could it be that this little creature was a dragon? Lina took the dragon to find her father. Unexpectedly, the Grand Duke stared at the dragon with a look of displeasure and warned Lina to be careful. He told her not to touch strange life forms of unknown origin. Her father's reaction took Lina by surprise. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have just brought it here. But Dad, I want to live with the dragon. Can I, please, Dad? The moment the Grand Duke saw that look in Lina's eyes, he lost all his resistance. He wondered who his daughter took after to be so sentimental. But as soon as the words left his mouth, the Grand Duke realized his mistake. Would saying that make Shushu think of her biological father? Of course I'm like you, Dad. You're so gentle and kind, Dad. You took me home the very first time you saw me. Although everyone in the world feared the Grand Duke's family, in Lina's eyes, they were the angels who had saved her. The Grand Duke told Lina to go back and rest. He needed to have someone come and check on the dragon's condition. Seeing that it was about to be separated from Lina, the little dragon instantly put on a pitiful look. Its watery eyes seemed to say, "Shushu, don't leave me." But Lina thought her father had a point. She happily returned to her room. As soon as the main door was shut, the atmosphere between the Grand Duke and the little dragon immediately grew tense. The two of them clearly didn't like each other. The Grand Duke asked Nicole if she had found out what Lina liked. Nicole said that Lina's favorite thing was still snacks. Although she was interested in toys and expensive things, she had the biggest reaction to tasty snacks. The Grand Duke became thoughtful. Was it because she didn't have enough food and clothing at the orphanage? Just then, Nicole offered her own opinion. If they were going to give the young lady a gift, the important thing wasn't what they wanted to give, but what the young lady wanted to receive. When it was time for dinner, they learned that Lina had almost been crushed by the wall that day. Wendy was very worried, but Del's attention was completely captivated by the dragon. Lina asked her father how to raise it. The Grand Duke said there were no records of it in the ancient texts. But he had heard that it doesn't eat food, and instead has a unique way of getting energy. Lina named the little dragon Kaden. That night, as Lina was sleeping drowsily, the face of the ghost boy suddenly appeared before her, but it quickly changed back into Kaden. Just then, she thought she heard a commotion outside her door, but she was just too tired. Lina fell back asleep. The next morning, the moment she opened her eyes, she felt that the room was especially quiet. The maid who was supposed to wake her up was late. Lina waited for a while before Nicole finally rushed in. While doing her hair, Nicole suggested that Lina have breakfast in the sunroom that day. Lina wondered why. Nicole explained that the Grand Duke and the young masters had already eaten, and it would be lonely for the young lady to eat in the dining room all by herself. In the sunroom, she could eat and enjoy the sun at the same time. Lina thought Nicole was acting a little strange. Why was she acting so off today? When it was time to go downstairs, Nicole told Lina to take the stairs on the left, explaining that taking the long way around and walking a few extra steps would be good exercise. This time, Lina didn't listen to her. She could tell at a glance that Nicole was hiding something from her. Lina quickly ran down the stairs. As soon as she reached the kitchen door, she heard a commotion coming from inside. It was her brother's voices. Lina quietly pushed the door open to peek inside. She saw her father and brothers were actually making a cake, and the two brothers were arguing over the best way to pipe the frosting. Seeing that he was losing the argument to Wendy, Del got frustrated and grabbed a small cake, throwing it right at him. It ended up hitting the main door, and the splattered cream went right onto Lena's face. Ale instantly panicked, while Wendy was surprised to see Lena there. Clearly, Nicole's diversion tactic had failed. Lena noticed the cake on the table. Although it was lopsided, you could tell at a glance how much care the maker had put into it. It even said happy birthday on top. Could this be a birthday cake for her? But today wasn't her birthday. It turned out, to ensure Lena's birthday had no regrets, the Grand Duke had specifically investigated her real date of birth, instead of carelessly setting it as the day she arrived at the orphanage. So today is your real birthday. Happy birthday, my daughter. Lena stared blankly at her dad. She never thought her father would be so considerate of her. By the time they arrived at the banquet hall, many nobles had already been waiting for a long time. Happy birthday, Your Highness, the Grand Duchess. Lena was completely surprised. Wendy explained that these were all relatives of the Grand Duke's family, who had come specially to celebrate with Lena. One of the ladies saw Lena and praised her. No wonder His Highness the Grand Duke decided to make a cake himself. Apparently, nobles rarely cook themselves. They only prepare food for the people they cherish most. Today's banquet wasn't just a birthday party, it was also Lena's first public appearance. The Grand Duke had no intention of hiding his affection for Lena. This love was free of any self-interest or ulterior motives. It was so pure. In that moment, Lena felt like she was the happiest person in the world. As long as she was with her family, no matter what happened in the future, she could overcome anything. To celebrate his precious adopted daughter's birthday, he, who had never cooked before, made a cake with his own hands for the first time and even invited the entire family to celebrate his daughter's birth. Lena, for her part, acted with grace and poise, even correctly calling out all the relatives by name. She thanked them for coming to her birthday party, which greatly surprised the adults. I'm a member of the Grand Duke's family now. Doing this is only natural. Even the Grand Duke couldn't help but show off. Look, my daughter is a genius. The guests' continuous praise made Lena a little shy. She asked her brother Wendy to take her to get some breakfast. Unexpectedly, a boy walked up and tried to get close to Lena, whose adorable appearance made his heart race. But in the next second, the two overprotective brothers, Wendy and Dale, arrived on the scene. They warned the boy to watch himself and not get any funny ideas. Lena started by opening Wendy's gift. It was an exquisite tea set. Wendy asked Lena what she wanted to drink. "I want to drink some cold cocoa tea." To her surprise, the very next second, cocoa tea poured out of the teapot. It turned out this was no ordinary tea set. It contained a very rare magic crystal. As long as you told the teapot what drink you wanted, you could have it instantly, no matter what it was. Dale eagerly showed off the gift he had prepared. He put a pair of delicate bracelets on Lena's wrists. Of course, these weren't just any bracelets. The next second, a huge cotton candy appeared in Lena's hands. The children watching were all stunned. It was the first time they had ever seen such a magical gift. In contrast to the lively, onlooking crowd, Eve, who was hiding in a corner, was feeling extremely anxious. Compared to all those amazing gifts, the one she had prepared seemed so plain and ordinary. What if the Grand Duchess thinks I'm disrespecting her? At that thought, Eve decided to secretly take her gift back. It would be better to just pretend I forgot to prepare one. But, as it happened, Lena saw the whole thing. Noticing Lena staring at her, Eve froze in shock. "I'm doomed. The Grand Duchess must think I'm stealing something." Seeing that the girl was so nervous she was about to cry, Lena walked up to her and asked, "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" Lena's concerned attitude took Eve by surprise. The Grand Duchess actually came over to check on me herself? And here I was, thinking such malicious thoughts about her.